The Pixel 9 Pro is easily the most refined phone Google has ever put out, with better build quality, better cameras, and a top-notch display. But an area Pixel phones have always fallen behind is performance. And this year, Google is hoping to change that, saying the new Tensor G4 chip helps the Pixel browse the web 20% faster and launch apps 17% quicker, while also getting a new vapor chamber cooling system and a whopping 16 gigabytes of RAM. The Galaxy, on the other hand, is powered by a custom version of Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. It still has a decent 12 gigabytes of RAM and faster UFS 4.0 storage, which for whatever reason, Google stuck with the older UFS 3.1. Will that decision end up costing the Pixel the W, or will Android's maker be able to pull off the upset? Let's find out. Alright, we'll kick things off by starting the stopwatches on each phone and then jumping into the first row, where both phones perform similarly in Facebook. But here in Starbucks, the Galaxy is able to get the step over the Pixel, allowing it to take the lead as we move on to Microsoft Word, where from the looks of it, the Galaxy was faster once again. It wasn't by much, but with it repeating that result here in Excel, the Galaxy has earned itself a nice little lead. Here in the camera app, after flipping the cameras and taking a portrait, each phone is waiting for the image to finish processing, where that time the Pixel was faster. So we'll see if Google's flagship can repeat that result here in Snapseed in order to cut down on the Galaxy's lead. But no, the Galaxy is just ripping through the task while the Pixel is taking its time, allowing the Galaxy to get a huge head start as we move on to Filmora Go. Now, this video export is arguably the most intensive task in this entire speed test, and right off the bat, you can tell that the Pixel is doing it at a slower rate. Obviously, video exporting isn't something that you do every day on your phone, but given that these phones are getting software updates for 6 to 7 years, it could be a predictor for long-term performance. But before we get ahead of ourselves, the Pixel isn't entirely out of this one yet. While it's struggling here in the video export, there is still the gaming row along with the 4 lightweight apps at the end, not to mention the entire second lap where the 16 gigabytes of RAM on the Pixel could come in handy if the Galaxy fails to keep something open. But at least here in the first lap, the Pixel loading Google Trends at a slower rate didn't help. And with it also seeming to load Subway Surfers at a slower rate, the Galaxy is starting to run away with it. It's been faster in every single app so far except for the camera app, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. I think part of this is due to the chipset, part of it is due to the cooling system, and part of it is just the storage speed, with UFS 4.0 on the Galaxy having twice the theoretical speeds of the UFS 3.1 found on the Pixel. But either way, the Galaxy is now 3 full apps ahead, and that number is only going to increase as the Pixel is working on the heaviest game in this test in Forward Assault, while the Galaxy finishes up with Disney Plus before just blazing through Amazon, finishing all 4 rows in the first lap before the Pixel finishes the third, clocking in an impressive time of 2 minutes and 11 seconds. The Pixel is finally working on that last row, where the delta in the loading times isn't actually all that big. It was only a hair slower in Spotify. It pretty much matches the performance of the Galaxy in ESPN, and it's the same story here in Disney Plus. So while it's not as fast across the board, it's still competitive in apps that you might use more frequently on a day-to-day. But that said, a 29-second difference is pretty big, especially when you consider that the Galaxy and the iPhone are within a few seconds of each other. Of course, if we included more apps in this test, there is a chance that the Pixel's 16 gigabytes of RAM would have given it an advantage. But at least with the 16 apps that we tested here, 12 gigabytes on the Galaxy seemed to be sufficient in over 90% of our trials. The Pixel, on the other hand, kept all of the apps open in 100% of our trials, and the results that you're seeing here were consistent, with the first lap standard deviation across trials being less than a second for each, making the winner the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Anyways, that is it for me in this video. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the very next episode.